Now, some refugees had to sleep rough in Dublin last night as they'd nowhere else to go. There are 310 asylum seekers arriving into Ireland every week. That's an approximate level. And it's after City West Transit Hub had to close to new adult entries yesterday. Aubrey McCarthy's from Tiglin right here in Wicklow. They do a lot of work out on the streets, quite a lot around Dublin and elsewhere and in other areas. And Aubrey joins us. Good morning, Aubrey.
Good morning, Declan.
Good morning to you. What do you know about the situation in Dublin?
So a lot of your listeners would know us from being involved with Tiglin. We have the rehabilitation centres and the housing in Greystones and Wicklow and British Bay. But we also have the homeless housing in Dublin city centre. We have the refugee housing, and we also have the homeless cafes. And what happened yesterday is the City West Transit Hub, which is basically the gateway facility for people entering into Ireland that are international protection applicants, that closed its doors. There was rumours that this would happen, but that facility, Declan, was meant to house 370 individuals. Yesterday, it had 858 people staying there, which is it's just not sustainable, and it's not a good situation to have. So what they've done is they've closed their doors. Now, the problem with that is there's no place for people to go who are arriving into Ireland. You mentioned a figure of 310, and that is the average figure that are coming into Ireland every week. Yesterday, our homeless facilities in Dublin, which we do dinner and we also do evening meals. And a lot of Wicklow people volunteer. A lot of people from Greystones volunteer with us. Yesterday, we had approximately a 35% increase in numbers there. And last night, I got an email from the Irish Refugee Council. And they said, we're delighted with your services, but please be advised you will experience an influx of refugees this coming week and perhaps coming into the middle of February. So we're dealing with a crisis situation, and I believe it can only be solved with cross-party support, with a government, an all-government response, and try to see if we can look at all available options.
And what are they? I mean, where do people go? And, some people might ask, should so many people be coming to Ireland?
Well, the problem is our Taoiseach, Leo Varadkar, has gone on record by saying that we have an obligation to welcome in international refugees. So while we're working on that, then we have to look at all options. I know, for example, speaking on behalf of Tiglin, we have various properties that we have put forward to the Department of Housing and Councils, and we're looking at different ways how we can utilise them, including modular. And we have a large project coming on stream in Dublin City Centre in February, hopefully this year, all going well. But if you walk around even Dublin City, you walk past Jury's Hotel, which has a capacity of probably 600-700. You walk past the Baggot Street Hospital, which would have a capacity 300-400. And I'm saying if the thinking cap was put on and all people around the table joined in an all-government response, I believe we could identify projects could be used with a mild refurbishment, and let's deal with the situation we are experiencing.
Okay, well, look at it from another direction. We heard this morning that the Taoiseach is in the Lebanon, and they've taken in, for a country of 3 million, they've taken in 1.5 million, it seems, people, and often they've been there, as we heard on the reports this morning, for 12 years, and they're living in tents. What's going to happen when Jury's is full, Baggot Street Hospital is full, the others are full? Ireland maybe is attractive. It's far away at the edge of Europe. However, we speak English. Maybe people see opportunities in Ireland. I don't know. But, what happens when it's all of those places are completely, used up and there's nowhere else?
Well, the reality is, if you have a 5-bedroom house, you can only fill the 5 bedrooms. So that's the reality of it. But I will say the Ukrainian ambassador, if you recall, when she visited our facility in Greystones, where we've over 110 refugees at the moment, she went on record and she said, please don't keep your doors open if there's no place for our people to go. So in other words, we're doing people no favours allowing them land in Dublin and they've nowhere to go. We're better off shutting the borders unless we have the facilities to accommodate. I will say there are facilities there that can be looked at, that can be used, and once they're exhausted, well then we have to look at modular housing. I am against using tents. I'm against using hay barns, and it seems that in some areas they are being used.
Well, Mr. Bruton's war is not going to be ending soon, I suppose, and there's still going to be people, you gather up your children. You could imagine if you're living in an apartment block and it's been blown up and you've nowhere else to go, or the threat is that it's going to be blown up again tomorrow or whatever. For the safety of your family, etc., you will leave and you will get out there and you'll go to neighbouring countries like Poland or Czech Republic or over whatever, and you'll keep on travelling till you feel you're safe. So it's not going to stop unless what you're suggesting might be we close the borders.
Well, desperation seeks desperate measures. And I will say, a number of weeks ago, I got a phone call to see would I meet a father and a child in Greystones, and they needed accommodation. I met them, but I said, we have no accommodation. We're full to the brim. And the gentleman, he was telling me about his situation. And I said, where's the mother of the child? The child is 7 years of age. And he was saying that the mother was coming over with the child. A shell went off, and the mother was decapitated. And she was killed instantly while holding the child. Now, when you have a father and son in front of you, sitting in Greystones in a cafe, you can't say, sorry, we're full. So that's where we have an obligation, from a human point of view, to try and do our very level best. And the people of Wicklow have been phenomenal in trying to accommodate. And so we managed to get accommodation for that gentleman, and his son is now in a school in Greystones. And even though you cannot fix their situation, what you can do is you can make it comfortable as possible in an absolute devastating situation.
So the solution to all this is?
The solution is, as I said, when the juries, when the Bagot Street Hospital, when places like that are available, when modular homes are an option, let's sit down and see if we can exhaust those. When they're exhausted, well, then the debate about do we keep the doors open, that has to surface.
Right, so there's plenty of other places. Texter says, stop taking refugees is the answer in this problem.
Well, the problem is, look at the Irish history as well. There's more of us abroad than there is in Ireland. But I will say Tiglin has a lot. We do a lot with Irish homeless as well, and we do a lot of Irish social housing. So we're an organisation that accommodates across the board, including refugees. In fact, refugees are a smaller number of what we do. But I will say, again, dealing with that gentleman and his son the other day, you can't just say, stop taking him. His life has been destroyed. He's here with a bag on his back with his 7-year-old son. The reality is, what do you do?
Because there's the other problem, because we were talking to Virgin Media News and their State of the Nation survey, and they found 41% of all respondents and 92% aged 18 to 24 are concerned they'll ever be able to afford a home in Ireland. So half of 18 to 24-year-olds are considering emigrating. So they're off, wherever it is. I don't know what the situation is, what countries they can go to as refugees, or they wouldn't be looking for asylum, but they'd be looking for a home in somebody else's country. And here we are with our situation where we have people knocking on our doors for a home in our country.
I will say, though, I was excited there recently when Taoiseach Leo Varadkar put together a task force on housing. It's the first time a government has come up with this. And they're looking at radical ways to solve the housing problem. And I know from my point of view as a volunteer chair with Tiglin, we at present are looking at modular housing in Naas, we're looking at modular housing in Dublin City Centre, and we're also looking at different aspects in Wicklow to work with the councils, to work with the government and say, okay, we have properties, what can we do to appease this situation?